Hi everyone, I am Amil Birillera, a second-year BSEd student from CBSUA. Today, I am excited to demonstrate the fundamental concept in fluid mechanics that may answer the questions: why some objects float while others sink? And also, why does the oil float on the water? Or why do heavy-looking objects sometimes feel surprisingly light? Today, let's discover the science behind these mysteries. Density and relative density. But first of all, what is the difference between the mass and density? Let's use these two balls. A tennis ball is bigger, but it feels lighter. On the other hand, a golf ball is smaller, but it feels heavier. Why? It demonstrates that mass is the quantity of matter an item possesses. So, despite being small, the golf ball has greater mass since it is heavier than the tennis ball. On the other hand, density refers to how much mass is packed in a certain volume. The golf ball is small but heavy, indicating a high density. And the tennis ball is bigger than the golf ball, but it is a lightweight, meaning it has a low density. What happens when you put a golf ball in the water? It sinks. When you put a tennis ball in the water, it floats. So, why do certain items sink while others float? It has something to do with density. Density is a measure of how much mass is contained in a given volume. Dense objects have more mass per volume than less dense objects. That means there is more matter packed into a smaller space. A golf ball is more dense than a tennis ball. It has a more particle packed inside it. And a tennis ball is hollow inside, which makes it less dense because it has a full of air. This is the formula for the density. Rho is equals to m over v, wherein m is the mass of the object. It is usually measured in kilograms or grams. And v is the volume of the object and measured in cubic meters or cubic centimeters. The common units that use in density are kilograms per cubic meter for SI units, or grams per cubic centimeter for smaller objects. This triangle shows the relationship between three important concepts. It shows the formula that connects the three: the mass, the volume, and the density. If you want to find density, cover the rho, so what's left is m over v, or mass divided by volume. So we can have rho is equals to m divided by v. And if you want to find mass, just cover the letter m in the triangle, and what's left is the rho times v, or the density times the volume. So we can have the m is equals to rho times the volume. And if you need to find volume, just cover v, that leaves m over rho, or the mass divided by the density. So we can have v is equals to m divided by rho. Relative density, also known as the specific gravity. It is a comparison of density of a substance to the density of a reference substance, typically water for liquids, in solids, or even in gases. So, based from the definition, relative density is the ratio of the density of a substance to the density of the water. Note that since it's a ratio of two densities which are both in the same units, relative density has no units. If your relative density is greater than 1, wherein the substance is denser than water, it will sink. And also, if your relative density is less than 1, wherein your substance is less dense than the water, it will float. Density and relative density help us to understand how heavy something is compared to its size. They explain why some objects float, like the tennis ball, and why others sink, like a golf ball. This is useful in designing boats, ships, and submarines so they can safely float on the water. And in the kitchen, oil floats on the water because it has a lower density, and this helps us to understand how liquids behave. In science and medicine, density helps us to identify unknown substances or check if someone is healthy through tests like urine analysis. Engineers use density to choose the right materials for buildings, cars, and airplanes. So overall, studying density helps us make smart choices in everyday life, technology, and nature. That's all for today's lesson. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you.